Skelta? I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, it's your boy Icon with a DC animated television review for you trying to square up and going over that creature Commandos. And before we get started, hit the notification bell, like and or subscribe, and let's get started. So this is the Radiation Man's backstory. So this is his particular episode. There was a couple of interesting things that happened here. So we find out that he was a scientist, obviously, who was basically trying to use radiation to cure cancer. Like, and it's sad because every single time, it's like when we're getting to know these villains, it's sad when you have a villain where he's considered the villain, and then when you find out his backstory, he was actually trying to do something good for humanity, just like the Weasel. So he was trying to cure cancer, but the problem was he needed funding for the project. And the person that he got to fund his project was good old Rupert Thorne, and it was my boss. Like, we all know who Rupert Thorne is. Rupert Thorne gave him the money with the condition that he was going to give him full credit for the cure, and he can sell the cure like overseas to some people in Bialia or whatever. So then what happened was his wife, the guy's wife, like I think his name was Eric. His wife didn't want him to do it. She was just like, don't trust the mob. But he was just like, well, if it's not, he said the research is important. He said because of this research, if we would have had this before, he was like, like my mom wouldn't have died and your dad wouldn't have died because both of them lost, loved ones due to cancer. So they ended up, so he ended up taking the money. So apparently what happened was there were certain levels of experimentation and like numbers that he was working on. His wife, because she was from overseas, I believe she was from Bialia, she didn't like the fact that nuclear like codes or like nuclear secrets or nuclear formulas were being put into the hands of her, her country's government because she didn't trust them. So I guess she convinced her husband to switch out those results with different results. The people overseas figured out that he was lying about the results, and then they got on Rupert Thorne's case because they deal with Rupert Thorne. So now Rupert Thorne's ass is under the fire, and he went down there and basically murdered the guy's wife and killed his son. So that was that right out the gate was very sad. And then he told the guy, he was like, the Rupert Thorne was like, you tried to play me. He said that you think they wouldn't have found out that you messed up, like the equations and everything, and nobody messes with Rupert Thorne. So Rupert Thorne takes the guy, throws him in the chemo radiation machine that he was building, and then he turns it on and he tried to cook him and kill him. I don't understand how that gets Rupert Thorne's ass out of the fire, but but that's what he decided to do. Just like the Incredible Hulk, instead of this machine killing him, it actually pumped him full of the radiation, and he turned into the creature that we know now. So once that happened, he came out. Now, and another thing, prior to this happening, Radiation Man was a bitch. He was like a sniveling coward. He wasn't tough. He didn't man up for himself. Even after Rupert Thorne killed his family, and it was understood that Rupert Thorne was going to kill him too, he didn't even try to fight back in that regard. The only point in which he tried to fight back and defend himself was when he tried to like open the van and jump out into the street, and then he hurt his foot and he couldn't even run away. So I'm just like, you're not the toughest cookie like in the bag here. But then after he came out of the machine and he was pumped full of radiation and he became the creature commando that we know now all of a sudden his chest is puffed out and he went around, he murdered all of Rupert Thorne's henchmen, and then he went in Rupert Thorne's house and killed Rupert Thorne and his entire family. So I'm like, okay, so now we're not going to get Rupert Thorne in this particular DC universe. That sucks. So like I said, so now Rupert Thorne is gone, and then this guy takes over the entire mob. Like, he takes over Rupert Thorne's organization. He takes over all of his crime syndicate stuff. He even dresses the part. He puts on a suit. He's now the new mobster and the kingpin of Gotham. Now, one thing was going through my mind while I was watching this entire backstory. When Rupert Thorne's goons ran up on him and kidnapped him and took him to the radiation machine and murdered his family and threw him in the chamber, the whole thing was going through my mind and was like, where's Batman? Because this takes place in Gotham. Like, this whole thing takes place in Gotham. So I'm like, where's Batman? Then when he came out of the chamber and he was the radiation monster and he went and he killed Rupert Thorne, I'm like, gee, where's Batman? Then he takes over Rupert Thorne's entire criminal organization. They show us a montage of him running roughshod all over Gotham City, like pillaging and plummeting and stealing. And the whole time I'm like, where's Batman? Like, what happened to Batman? And then finally, there's a scene where he's celebrating and he's got all of his money and all of his goons. And then up on top of the roof where he was celebrating, then that's when we saw Batman. I was like, oh, well, well, it's about damn time. You can't tell me you were with the Justice League, because that hasn't been a thing yet, because Superman isn't even here yet. That doesn't come out till like July 11th. So, so the Batman finally shows up. It was like him in the shadows in the background. He looked like really big. Like the way they drew him was like really stocky. So yes, it's a Batman sighting, and it's like, and I know for the next week now I'm gonna see that all over the internet. Oh my God, they showed Batman! And I'm like, Jesus Christ, people! Like, we knew Batman was coming. Like, it's like you can get excited, but it ain't that serious. People are gonna make videos like, oh, here's Batman. Like, we ain't never seen Batman before. So then, but I guess that explains how he ended up in the suicide. Like, he ended up in Task Force X. So Batman snatches him up, and then that was pretty much the end of that. So now, back in reality, the Creature Commandos, they're still running from the troops from the princess. The bride and Nina, they ended up in a whorehouse. And they were hiding out in the whorehouse, and the madam of the whorehouse was just like, oh, you should turn tricks at the whorehouse. And then the bride was like, I would not soil myself by doing such degrading work. And then she was like, you kill for a living. She was like, what is the difference? And I'm like, well, the difference is like the killing is more or less for survival. You're actually choosing to, so then while they're hiding, these two metahumans show up, and I'm just like, I felt like this should have been made a bigger deal, because apparently metahumans are here and everyone is fully aware of the fact that metahumans are here. They're just like, oh, two guys that went upstairs to sleep with two of my girls, they were just metahumans, and they just kind of like brushed that off like it wasn't a big deal. I'm like, like, it's kind of a big deal. But anyway, but one of the metahumans, he was being a little too touchy, a little too grabby. He smacked the girl, gave her a black eye. The madam went upstairs and tried to defend her honor. He smacked the madam up. Then Nina, for the love of God, Nina finally did something. Nina cracked a bottle over the dude's head and tried to protect the hose. And then Nina got slapped up, and then the bride came and basically killed everybody. And then after they killed both of them, it's like, well, shit, I guess you got to go now, because you can't hide there anymore. So, Nina and the bride left, and then Nina was like, I knew we were friends. And then she was like, shut up, bitch. The weasel got lost, ended up in the forest. He came across some wolves. I thought one of those wolves was Beast Boy, because there were 5 wolves, and 4 of them were like a darkish forest green color. One of them was like a brighter green color, and I was like, shit, I thought that was Beast Boy. But the weasel hung out with the wolves, and then after the weasel stopped hanging out with the wolves, he basically got an image of the princess in his face, which reminds him of the little blonde girl that killed, back in the day. And then he got up, and then he started making his way towards the castle. The radiation dude, he went wandering around, and while he's wandering around, that's when he was having the flashbacks of how he became who he is. Then he went into a house where there was a little girl there, which chalked up more memories. And then after that, the parents woke up, saw him playing with the daughter, and then he asked the parents, he was like, where's the castle? Then he went to the castle. So then the four of them merged together. They met up at the exact same time, and now all 4 of them are on their way to the castle to kill the princess. The princess got the goons ready. The princess is ready to go, and she said, kill the creature commandos if you have to. The Wall now, she's with Rick Flag in the hospital, because apparently Rick Flag is still alive. Rick Flag's still alive, and they said that they can save him, so Rick Flag will still be here. And then the Wall was basically just like, she was like, come on, Flag, survive so you can tell me everything that happened, how you got your ass beat. And Frankenstein, he took an airplane back to the country, because now he's going to try to get the bride. So now everyone's, well, except for Amanda Waller and Rick Flag, everyone's here now. Frankenstein's on his way to the castle, the Commandos are on their way to the castle, and the princess is in the castle. They still think the princess is like this evil, controlling, like, bitch, that's going to terrorize the planet. I'm still waiting for Grodd. I don't know where Grodd is, because, again, clearly Grodd was in the dream sequence that Cersei said, but Amanda Waller's still trying to pick up the pieces. I don't know how this is going to all unfold, but apparently the next episode is the season finale. That was how this particular one ended, and thank you for tuning in. And I don't know how I feel about the season finale, because having 7 episodes is weird. It's like, I'm not used to that. And the other problem that I have with it is they were giving us backstories for each individual character throughout the course of the season. I don't like the fact that now that we're finally going to get the Nina backstory, we're finally going to see like how she came to be and what her whole situation was. I don't like the fact that it's happening in the season finale, because I feel like her origin story is going to conflict with what happens in the season finale. I would have liked to have had, well, first of all, I would have liked to have had 10 episodes, but if not, I would have liked to have 8 episodes. Episode 9 would be the Nina backstory. And then now that we've gotten all the character backstories out of the way, episode 10 can just focus on what's presently happening in the finale. And like I said, I don't like, because even if I wanted to use Nina as a thumbnail for the next episode, it's like I can't just use her. It's a season finale. I got to use a group shot. But it's weird, like having 7 episodes. But I mean, James Gunn also did say that he's focusing on the storytelling, and I guess he felt the best way to tell the best story only lasted for 7 episodes. Plus, Harley Quinn starts on the 5th, I believe. Harley Quinn starts on the 5th, and you know how these things go. Like once a series is about to end, another one starts, and sometime maybe there's like a 1-week overlap. But whatever. Share your questions, comments, and or concerns down below. We'll continue to talk about what you think about episode 6 of Creature Commandos. Are you okay with the Batman being here, them killing Rupert Thorne? Are you okay with what's about to happen with everybody converging on the princess? How do you think it's going to end? And we will continue to discuss in the comment section down below. Check out my other reviews because I got Marvel's What If on my channel. If you watch that, I definitely have some things to say about that. And like I said, when Harley Quinn starts, we're going to review that Harley Quinn. And I'm still waiting for that Peacemaker and that Daredevil to come out too, because I know those things I think they're supposed to come out maybe in January or like February. So a lot of cool stuff on the horizon, guys. Let's review it. Red House Entertainment 2025 going strong. Happy New Year to everybody. So until next week for the season finale of Creature Commandos, take care, look out for that radiation poisoning because he'll burn it to the ground. And we're out that bitch!